So I'm back and it's another gardening week video, and I've had a pretty rough week actually. I think I've had about 10 days with a really heavy cold, and I've just finished it with tonsillitis, and so I'm still a little bit sort of croaky, but I'm feeling a lot better now. So hopefully next week it's going to be a great one. Week started well actually, really lovely weather, really lovely. Which really made a change because it's been, obviously like really cold and then really windy and wet and everything. So it's really nice to have some nice sunrises and sort of beautiful views out over the coast and all that sort of thing. And I managed to get a whole day on the allotment, which is pretty unusual for me at the moment. And mainly I was tidying up all the beds, giving them a good weed, airing them all. It's nice to give them all some sort of fresh air. They're always vented, and like a 1-inch vent or maybe a little bit more sometimes. But yeah, just full access to the sun and the wind and all of that. And I had some losses of some of my lettuce beds back in December when we had that big freeze, and so I replanted all the gaps in the lettuce beds with new lettuces. And yeah, it's really nice to sort of be back to having a fully planted allotment with nothing dead in it. And so I was really happy to have that finished, and sowed quite a few different seeds as well. So here's my lovely little seedlings that I sowed on the 1st of January, so a week ago. So we've got breast Brussels sprouts, and these are early Brussels sprouts. I definitely don't recommend doing your main crop Brussels sprouts this early, but these are for summer harvest. I've got some Calabrese Marathon, which are also looking quite nice. I've got some dwarf green curly kale and some scarlet curly kale. That is only just kind of breaking surface there, but you may be able to see a few of those. And then I've got 2 little rows there. One is April cabbages and one is Offenham cabbages. And then red cabbages, so red Fugo, which are a little bit better earlier than red drumhead. And the reason I'm doing this batch, most of this batch anyway, this Brussels sprouts, the Calabrese and the cabbages, is because although I've got really nice seedlings, sort of about 6 inches tall, versions of all of these that I did back in sort of September, October time, they have all been through that minus 10 degrees centigrade, really hard frost period. And I'm not 100% confident that they won't just bolt on me. So I am sowing some reserves. So then I've got my Aquadulce broad beans. These are just ones for the polytunnel, and they all died in that big freeze. So I'm just replacing those. And then I've got my early peas, Oregon sugar pod. I've got 2 little trays of those, and I've got the bed ready for those now, so I'm keen to get those planted sort of the end of January sort of time for a nice early harvest. And I have started some celery as well, but that's just in this little thing there to keep it nice and moist. There's just one just one feeble little celery plant in there. So the only other seedlings I've got at home right now are the peppers, and they are looking pretty good, but I'll show you those on another video. And I've also sown 3 tubs of carrots, and they're in here with me in the conservatory at the moment until they germinate. And as soon as I see them start to break surface, I'll put them in the polytunnel because the light levels are not high enough in the conservatory here. I don't want those carrots to get leggy. You might not think it matters really with carrots as to whether they get leggy or not, but it does, because it makes them really difficult to water if they're kind of really weak stemmed, and they all flop over, and just a good chance that they'll just get damp and die off. So you want nice stocky little carrots, which is kind of what you get if they're growing in the cold and with lots of light on the allotment in the polytunnel. So I've also finally got around to emptying my collection tanks into my IBC tanks, and all my IBC tanks on the allotment now are full, and we've got quite a lot of rain coming over the next few weeks, so hopefully all the collection tanks will also refill, and I'll be at my 100% water level which is about 4.7 cubic meters, which is enough to get me to normally to the end of May, just about. So yeah, I'll be really pleased when the water gets switched on, but you know, it's really nice to have all that saved up water. I've also been exploring the local area because I've not been feeling very good. I haven't felt up to driving anywhere, and so I've just been kind of like wandering around the bridleways and footpaths over in the sort of, you know, agricultural side of St Anne's, and it's been really nice to kind of get a different view, you know. So I'm always walking up and cycling around the coast, but it's always really nice to see farmland and sheep and cows and all of that sort of thing, and so I really enjoyed that, and you know, it's kind of just opened my eyes to the potential for getting good long sort of, you know, 12-15 mile walks in the local area, basically on my doorstep. So I've also been doing some work for you guys and girls. I am readying my database for its second release. Maybe it's technically its third release. And as a result of that, I'm doing a lot of tidying up and cleaning up of it, so sort of keep some of my data in there so you can see what the database looks like when it's got data in, but also just generally removing things like, you know, views that I need to support my book and things like that, which you don't need those sorts of views. So yeah, I've enjoyed that. It's looking a lot neater and tidier now, and it has the advantage, because I've deleted some of my data, that it now all fits within the limitations of the free license for Airtable. So before you had to kind of do a lot of work to get it small enough, and now I've done that work for you. So that is looking nice. I'm pleased with that. So hopefully I'll be releasing that next week. I just need like another 1 or 2 rainy days worth of work to get that finished. So I've got to look at my diary here because I can't remember. It's not been a great week, as I said. Oh yeah, I tidied up my shed. Honestly, I've been putting this job off for about 3 months, and I finally got around to going through it all, giving it a good tidy up, and tidying the back of the shed and everything. Obviously, it still looks a right old mess because there's far too much stuff in the shed, but it's not too bad, and I'm kind of happy to have got that done. And yeah, oh yes, I've bought myself, I kind of treated myself, my kind of Christmas treat is to buy a whole load of Salanova lettuces from Just Seed. Now these are kind of commercial varieties of lettuce that are mainly grown in America, even though the inventors of Salanova I think are in the Netherlands. But you see most of, on the gardening videos and things, you mostly see Salanovas being grown in America, but I suppose they're grown in Europe as well. But there hasn't, I don't think, been a UK distributor of them, so it's been quite difficult to get hold of them. Anyway, Just Seed has bought some of them probably in bulk from the Netherlands supplier, and then split them up into smaller quantities so that the likes of you and me can buy them. Now, I'm not sure I would recommend buying them at this point. I'm kind of just running a trial of lots of different ones, and yeah, I'll just put them up at the screen so you can see what they look like. The nice thing about them, and the reason that I've decided to trial some of them, is that they are really great for picking as whole heads. Now, there are times of year when I'm happy to pick individual leaves, but there's times of year when I'm really wanting to look after my back and my knees, because I'm, you know, putting in a lot of miles, for example, on my bike and hiking and things like that, and I just don't want to be doing any more sort of spending any more time kneeling down and bending down and all that sort of thing. So, you know, but at times like now, right now, I'm quite happy to pick individual leaves. But anyway, that's what this is for, is so that I can try that out, because the yield from these for individual leaves, for whole heads, is really great, and they're really easy to kind of break up into lots of little leaves from a whole head. Anyway, I really like the idea of them. So, and then basically just got the harvest done. So yeah, it was a pretty good harvest as well. I'll show you that now. So here's today's harvest. We managed to fill the table again, which is always a bonus in the middle of winter. I'll just take it quickly through it. So we've got yacon, some apples, onions and shallots from the store, celeriac, parsnips. We just started to pick some beetroot from the store. We'll have a lot more than that soon. Red cabbages, red cabbage rather. I think we've only got two or three left of those. Potatoes from the pots outside. I was a bit worried that they would all succumb to the frost, but actually only some of that little tiny ones like this had gone soft, so that's pretty good. Some really nice red pak choy, very pleased with that. That's from the polytunnel, lovely quality. Collard leaves. Collards are nice. This is the first year really that we've grown them. Just a loose leaf cabbage, but ideal for this time of year. Green curly kale and dazzling blue sort of Carvalho Nero kale. A selection of squashes from the store and garlic from the store. Leeks, carrots, and then at the top of those I've started picking the scrappy Brussels sprouts, leaving the good ones for later, and then underneath there's a kind of bed of these little colettes which are gorgeous. We've only probably got enough colettes and sprouts to last us until the end of February though, so I'm kind of hoping that by then all the other brassicas are really in full production again. Parsley from the polytunnel, spinach, lots of lovely spinach. I've got some spinach for the salad mixes as well. So then underneath all of these, we've got all the salad bases and they're looking really nice. So most of that is lettuce, and then on top of the lettuce we're going to add salad onions, winter miner's lettuce, lamb's lettuce, tatsoi and spinach. So that should make that look really nice when those are all done, and then to that we'll add grapes and tomatoes, which makes our winter salad base. So yeah, very pleased with that. It's looking pretty good. So next week I've got a series of videos which I filmed when I was ill, so I hope they're all right. Which are just basically talking about the kind of highs and lows of last year, and then there are several videos looking at the problems or learning opportunities, as I like to think of it, that we had on the allotment, in the polytunnel and in the kitchen garden, and then looking forward to changes that I'm going to make in 2023. So anyway, I hope you enjoy those. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.